Pasa Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Before we begin, I want to thank my friends here at Calexico Brewing Company for allowing me to, record today's episode here. I really, really appreciate it. Today we have a returning guest. I was telling her before we started recording that the last time we spoke was October 3rd, I believe, 2019.
Long time ago. I'm glad it's good to be back.
Yeah, and she was away for a bit, but now she's back. I'm still looking for her next project or adventure.
Yes.
So the last time we spoke, my guest today is Alexandra Rangel. Thank you for being here. Didn't even say your name, but last time we spoke, you were working for KYMA, KSWT, is it?
KYMA, yes, in Yuma. And I was working out of the bureau here in Imperial County. I don't know if it was my first year. Was it my first year or second year?
It was really,
one of those.
what was it, 2019?
Yeah.
Do you remember what?
I couldn't even tell you when I started, but it was probably my middle mark. Once I had already gotten acclimated to some of the stuff.
Yeah, because you seemed more comfortable
yes.
with.
Yeah. But yeah, I did 2 years of reporting here. After that, I got a freelance gig in San Diego, KPBS. I did about 8 months there, which was super cool. And then after that, I was looking for new opportunities. And I decided to move to Florida for a year, exactly a year. I just moved back. So I was reporting out there for a year, and it was an interesting experience.
So that year mark was something that you set yourself on, or?
You know what? I intended to be in Florida for, maybe 2 years, if possibly, and then transfer back. But you know what? It's I really enjoyed Florida. I learned a lot. It was a great experience, but its cost of living is high over there. And it's so far away from my family. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was from one.
It was so hard, moving as it is. And then, so my apartment over there, my lease was up. And I was, should I resign? Should I look for something else? And I was looking at apartments. I was thinking of, signing another lease. And then I was like, you know what? It's so expensive. I'm missing home. I'm just gonna head back.
Yeah, and you went from, one end of the country to the next.
Complete opposite, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And weather-wise, it's kind of hot, more humid. But, you deal with more, speaking about weather, tropical storms.
Hurricanes. When I moved over there, I knew hurricanes were a possibility. And I spoke to some people who lived in Florida, were from Florida, and they're like, Alex, don't worry about it. It's, it just rains a lot. No big deal. Well, come to find out, the year I moved is the biggest hurricane, and it's in the history of Florida, just the damage that it caused. And that was an interesting experience, a very scary one. But you know what? I got through it. I'll take an earthquake any day. I'm not gonna lie.
So people over there are earthquakes for us.
Oh, over there, it's you have earthquakes in California. I'm like, yeah, but these hurricanes are something else.
For me, it's, when I think about it, is I think I would rather live in that area because at least you kind of know ahead of time.
You do know ahead of time, but just the damage it causes. A lot of the homes are, built for hurricanes, but something like this was just almost every home was touched, damaged, whether it was the shingle from the roof or the fence, minor flooding, but still flooding that needs to be, fixed, mold, all that stuff. Yeah. They deal with mold on a year basis. Right now it's getting into the summer months where it rains every day. So it'll rain every day, maybe around 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It'll rain for maybe 30 minutes, but every day, it rains. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Here we hardly see any rain. So when we do, it's and it's crazy because, we hardly see any rain. And when it does, we're always complain about it.
Yes, we do. Exactly. We're in a drought and we're still complaining.
Yeah.
But so over there, we get good enough rain. A lot of people like to talk about the humidity, or they hate the humidity in Florida. To me, it wasn't that much of a big deal. I'm used to the desert heat, so it wasn't that much big of a deal. It was more the mosquitoes, the no-see-ums, the lizards running around everywhere. I've had maybe about 3 baby lizards in my apartment. Oh my gosh, worst experience. I'm
So-
always like, before I get in bed, I kid you not, every day I lift up the covers and is there any lizards in my bed? Because they just get inside your home.
That's crazy. And did you see? Because alligators are another thing that.
Yes, alligators. Did I see an alligator out in the wild? No, I didn't. But they're there. They're there. We get reports. I work in the news, so they send you out to go, see where the alligator is, talk to neighbors and stuff, and you see the crazy videos. And yeah, these alligators are no joke.
In terms of the stories that you got to cover, is it similar to?
So different. Here in the Imperial Valley, I mean, it's my hometown. I got to cover everything from the border to, city, county issues. In my opinion, like very important issues where Florida, it was very much, they do like, we did cover important issues, right? But they do very much like the Florida man story. What's going to get the clicks?
Yeah.
What's going to get people, watching, tuning in? So some stuff was very interesting that I covered. Like, why am I covering this? But yeah, you just roll with it,
And obviously, a lot of when it's hurricane season, you get to cover, the damage. And
Yes, yeah.
To meet some of the people.
That was probably the best part of my experience over there. So I was a morning reporter over there, a little different from what I was doing here. Over there, I did mornings. So I worked from 4 a.m. to 12. And I reported live for our morning shows. We have like a 6, 7, 8, 9, and a 10 a.m. show. So those like 5 hours, I'm out on the field. We usually have like a story set ahead of time. But, there's breaking news or sometimes we wake up and there's something happening. So that's what we'll jump on. But, the hurricane was in September, I believe 28. So it's been around 8 months now. But the hurricane was interesting. We were preparing for it like days ahead. We knew there was, a hurricane coming. And when it hit. And I remember like we evacuated to college. So we were safe. That was one of the good things where like, I didn't know like what it would be like, but we were in like this college that is basically, made for, it's hurricane proof. So we were good. Like you barely like felt the wind and stuff. But yeah, after the hurricane, once it hit, they sent us out to go see what the damage was. And that was pretty scary.
Do you think that, because over there was different where like over here it was like just you with your camera.
Yeah, used to see me by myself, right, with my camera. It's what you call an MMJ, multimedia journalist. So you're the reporter and you're like the cameraman as well. So you do everything. Over there, I had a cameraman with me almost every day. Yeah.
Okay. And the same one or?
They would switch. I had maybe like 3 different cameramen, but I always had one with me. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think you like that better than being?
Oh my gosh, definitely. Right. Like it's just so helpful. And I mean, you're put in some dangerous situations. You need a second person there. Like I was even talking to like a coworker who's, she's not my coworker, but she's a reporter here now at KYMA. And we were just talking about work, giving each other advice and stuff like that. And I was telling her, like, the stuff that I used to go to here in Imperial Valley by myself.
Yeah.
Fires, crime scenes,
Yeah.
all of that. It's not okay, but, we still did it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember we were talking in the first episode where you were at the railroad tracks in El Centro covering, I think it was 2 different murders.
Yes, that double murder.
One of them was in a barrel, like.
Yes, that is a story that needs to be like, a movie needs to be made, a book, something, a series.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I was like, you're out there by yourself.
Out in the train tracks.
Yeah.
Recording with my camera and, in a not so good part of, El Centro probably. And yeah.
Yeah, the person that did it, I mean, I don't even know if they ever got caught or not.
They did. I believe, I've been catching up a little bit, but it was like the mom and the boyfriend who had, their son was killed on the train tracks. And then like a week later, one of the best friends of the son was killed, and it ended up being the mom and the boyfriend who killed him for revenge. It was a crazy thing. And at that time, I knew who that lady was. She was, I had met her for a previous story, and she would like message me on Facebook during the time that was happening. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I remember like you mentioning that you would go to like court to cover a story, and like you would see a family that might, look at you weird because you're there.
You see the families, they see you on TV reporting on it. And like once I had like a security guard escort me to my car because it was like, dang, like.
Yeah. Did you think that, because I remember we were talking about if people would recognize you down here and ask you about, being on TV. Do you think you would get recognized more over there in Florida or in California?
Definitely here more just because I'm from here. So, people knew me. Once I was like established more, like, after maybe a year had passed by, people would recognize me. But in Florida, I would still get recognized by people. I tag out my name in Spanish, Alexandra Rangel. And they'd be like, they don't even know Spanish, right? They're like, Alexandra, like, I see you on the TV. And, just, yeah. So I would get recognized sometimes, yeah.
And in terms of the population, because, for us, we've seen like, Scarface where like it's Puerto Ricans or Cubans. Is that or is it like pockets of?
It is. There's just a wide range. I'd say maybe Miami's where it's more diverse. I was in Southwest Florida, which is like the west coast of Florida. So Miami's directly across from us, right? So I'm on the west coast of Florida. That area, we covered about 5 counties, and that area is, Fort Myers, Naples, Cape Coral. That area is like a lot of like older folks retire there and stuff. It's also a lot of families live there. The diversity, there's still diversity. I would say the most like diversity you see is like, in the workers, the immigrants who work there. There's a lot of resorts, a lot of golf courses, that's where people retire. So there's all this like restaurants and entertainment type stuff. And it's the immigrants that are working all those, jobs. So that's where you start to see the diversity, like in Uber. And Uber is always going to be like Cuban, Haitian, or like, yeah. Oh, okay. So there was diversity.
Just before you came back, we saw this bill that the governor passed.
Yes, SB 1718.
Did you see? Because, I see it on TikTok. I don't know if it's people like over hyping it, but was it true?
So there was like viral videos going around of, people recording like there's no workers anymore, donde están los trabajadores, like, and you would see like fields that were empty and like construction sites that were empty. Did that happen? Not necessarily. Not as like the video portrays it, right? But there is like when that bill passed, there is a sense of like immigrants are now scared. I'm sure some have left and some are thinking of leaving because I've spoken to some who like are thinking of leaving to other states just because of this bill that requires, like the hospitals are going to start to ask for documentation status. Employers who employ more than, I believe it's like more than 25 people, they're going to start doing that E-Verify system. So, it's very interesting. I don't know. A lot of these immigrant workers, they kind of just stick to themselves. They don't know a lot about what's going on. I'd say like the worker shortage in Florida, I've noticed it since I moved there. I think a lot of it was caused by COVID. A lot of people left back to their country during that time. And I think, which is why we saw that whole, border, the recent border surge, like people are trying to come back who maybe were already here even, So I think since COVID, all around, I've seen like a shortage of workers. Because even during that time, I was working here and I would do some stories out in the fields with some, agriculture employees here, and they didn't have workers. They're like, there's a shortage. Yeah. So I saw similar things in Florida. Like you go to every restaurant, they have a sign that says now hiring, So I think it's just been like a cycle of stuff, where you've seen a worker shortage. But
do you think that this bill will probably impact the shortage even more?
I think so. People are on edge. They're already walking on eggshells. So And over there, it's like a housing crisis. So people can't already like afford stuff. You know, I've heard stuff from restaurant owners in Florida who are vouching for their employees just so they could like get approved for an apartment or a house to rent. Like it's just so hard. So I don't see a lot of people staying there for long. Yeah, like if this continues. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, I saw it on TikTok, and I wanted to ask you because you know, obviously you were there.
Yeah. So I lived very close, maybe about an hour away from where it's called Immokalee. That's kind of where the agriculture city is, where they do like tomatoes, oranges, and
strawberries.
There's a lot of Haitians out there. I know they're still going to work, definitely. As far as the construction goes, I think it comes in waves and stuff. Like there's, you know, some places are waiting for permits and stuff to get passed. So that's why sometimes you'll see like places that have no construction going on for maybe weeks on end.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, a lot of places you see that were like construction on the wall because they need a permit or.
But it's crazy. Like I did speak to like people who would be angry, like immigrants. You know, like, well, is the governor going to come and do these jobs? Because we had that hurricane which wiped out entire beach towns. Who are the people rebuilding? Immigrants.
Yeah. I remember that when the hurricane hit, they sent a bunch of immigrants that, I don't know, from Texas or somebody, I think Abbott sent them somewhere and then they sent them to.
There was workers coming in from across the states. There's a big immigrant population in Miami and that area, and they'll drive the 2 hours to Southwest Florida to work.
So it's similar to, down here where
what we see here,
because when they, kind of similar to Las Corridas where like they'll go and
they'll go to Northern California, they follow the work.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like I said, it's crazy that, sometimes we see stuff on, social media.
Yeah.
And it's cool that, we have somebody
that. I mean, there's truths to it, right? Exaggerations and all that. But, it'll be very interesting to see how that continues. Yeah.
I mean, you lived there for a year, and, DeSantis was the governor. Now he's running for president.
I know. I left just in time right now. I'm kidding. I know. He announced a few days after I left Florida. He officially announced. It's interesting. I got to cover some of his press conferences when I was there, when he was like governor. He was, especially after the hurricane, he was in Southwest Florida a lot. So I would get to go to some of the press conferences he would do. And I mean, people in Florida love him. I actually don't even see them voting for him as president just because they want to keep him to themselves. They're like, no, we want to keep him as governor. We do not want him in the White House. And a lot of Floridians, especially Republicans, are Trump fans. So, they'll back up Trump and they want DeSantis to stay as governor.
But it's funny that, they started throwing at each other now.
Yeah.
So it's funny that, you could be a Trump supporter and also a DeSantis supporter, even though they, say...
They've been going at it for a bit. Trump actually visited us, when was it? Maybe like 2 months ago, he did a campaign rally in Fort Myers, which I got to cover. I didn't get to go to the actual, convention dinner, but we were there like beforehand and we covered that and people were like, oh, wow, he's in Ron's stomping grounds. Like, yeah.
And it's funny because, now Trump is a Floridian because he lives in Mar-a-Lago. So that, it's funny that former president is in Florida and his governor is running against him.
It's very interesting living in Florida and being like in this, Trump little pockets of Florida, people, there's very wealthy people over there, Republicans. I'd say like 3 out of 5 cars have like F Biden and they're supporting Trump, and it's like stickers all over the cars. It's insane. Flags in front of their homes, boats. They have, it's like there's not a boat. Like if they own a boat, they have to put what their
their party is.
Yes, exactly. It's like it's insane. Yeah.
Most of the people. Most of the wealthy people are, I mean, no, I'm not going to say that because...
they tend to be Republican, Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to ask you. Oh, so, when you were here, you worked for, a news corporation that was ABC or NBC. Over there, you work for Fox, right?
So they're like affiliates. It's very interesting. Like, so over there, I worked for Fox 4 now. It's a local station, but it's not affiliated with National Fox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people confuse it like, oh, so you work for National Fox. No, it's just like some local affiliates, but we're not actually Fox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that, it was...
Yeah. No, most local news stations are their own little stations. They're just like affiliates, but not to like the national. Yeah.
Okay. But they don't they don't have a say on what you cover or...
No, yeah. So they don't have a say on what we cover. We still have to remain, impartial. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I figured, well, that was my question was, did you see a difference in, what they wanted you to cover working for Fox and working for, but I guess it's...
Yeah. No, my news station, no, but there's definitely other news stations that might lean towards one way or another. Even if they're not affiliated with Fox or CNN or any of the big news outlets, but yeah.
So what do you hope to do next? Now that you work here and then across the country, San Diego.
Oh my
for
gosh!
a little bit.
I mean, I hope to continue reporting. It's what I enjoy doing. The industry is just so cutthroat and a little bit toxic, to be honest, that it just it makes you not want to continue in it, And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. The news industry, they hold you to these contracts, 2-year, 3-year contracts. They want to tie you down. And if you break this contract, you're going to owe this much money. You can't work here. You can't work there. So it's a lot. That's kind of where I'm at. But I mean, I have full intentions to continue with reporting. But right now I'm kind of open to what doors might open up, whether it be something just in media or maybe doing something behind the camera. It just kind of depends what there is. And there is options. It's just, kind of just pulling the trigger and being, what, I'm stepping away from this or I'm going to do this. Meanwhile, it just kind of depends. Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit into cutthroat? What is it that?
Oh my gosh, it's just our schedules are crazy enough. The way the news industry works is you have to start at the bottom of the totem pole until you climb to eventually the market. We call it markets, but it's the city that you want to be in. So if I want to be in San Diego, my ultimate goal is to be, full-time reporter in San Diego. I like being close to home and,
nice weather.
Yeah, that would be the goal. But you can't just, work at KYMA, for 2 years and then jump to San Diego. It doesn't work that way. You need, experience. And so, which is why I continued, to get outside experience and then with the hopes of transferring back. But a lot of the times you just have to continue to get more experience because the amount of people that want to move to San Diego to report, it's like a dime a dozen. Everyone wants to settle down there. And so it's a very competitive industry. And you basically, I never thought that I would move across, the country for work. But a lot of people in news do it. They'll move from market to market until they get to the market they want. New York is number 1, LA is number 2. Someone who has the goal of reporting in LA will jump from market to market, maybe maybe 6 years working in other states across the country until they can make it to LA, which is crazy if you think about it. You're living somewhere where your family's not at. You're just working. I worked from 4 to 12, but sometimes I was doing overtime where I'm working 4 to 2, 4 to 3. You don't have a lot of time for your personal life. I mean, I'm single. I don't have kids. So, that's a plus for me. But someone with kids and who's married, I really don't know how they do it. And so you're living away from, your home, and it's very hard. So it's a big commitment. Some people are willing to do it. Me, on the other hand, I was like, you know what? I'll try it. Tried it. I'm good. We'll go back. We'll go back. It's rough.
Yeah. How did you end up in Florida? I don't know if you mentioned how you end up in Florida.
In Florida, you know what? At the time, I was like open to moving, trying something different. And so I kind of just went for it. I mean, it was very hard. I mean, born and raised in Imperial County. It's, us here who are from Imperial Valley, we're just so family oriented. We stick by our parents, So that was very hard to do, like to move away. But, I did it and I was able to do it. I moved out there alone, basically.
But how did you find the opening online or?
Yeah, basically, I had been applying to jobs and I applied to a couple in Florida. I had gotten some offers, one in, Tallahassee, which is the capital. And then a week, like maybe a few days later, I got the offer in Fort Myers. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was in between two. So Tallahassee is at the top of Florida, and then Fort Myers is at the bottom. It was closer to beaches and stuff, that they were offering me a better pay. So I went with Fort Myers. It was a great experience. I was able to do, report in the mornings, and I had a great morning team. And the best part of Florida are the beaches. They're so beautiful. And it's, it's Gulf water, Gulf of Mexico water. It's warm. It's, I was always at the beach.
Hey guys, sorry for the interruption, but I wanted to take this time to thank my sponsors. I want to thank my longtime sponsors, my friend Camilo Garcia, Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative, and my friend Jake. Thank you guys for being longtime sponsors of the podcast. I also want to thank my friends who sponsored the podcast in 2022. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your sponsorship. And if you want to become a sponsor, you can go to anchor.fm/Que Pasa Calexico. Hit the support button and you can sponsor the podcast from 99 cents a month to $10 a month. It really helps me a lot to make this podcast better, sound better, look better, and reach out more people by promoting the podcast in social media and other websites. So if you want to become a sponsor, make sure to go to my Anchor page, and I'll leave a link in the description of the show. So thank you so much. And now back to the show. Now that you can consider yourself like a veteran in the field.
A little bit, yeah.
What would you tell somebody, especially a young girl that might be thinking about, doing this for a living?
I mean, I recommend it, especially if it's something that they want to do. You have to do it. Did I necessarily want to move to Florida? No, but it's something you have to do. You know what I mean? Like, nothing that you want really comes easy. It takes sacrifice. It's hard work. But at the end of the day, it was a great experience. I'm able to say that I went over there, I did it. A lot of it was a little less about, my career and more about personal growth. I didn't think that it was possible for me to live across the country by myself and, do all of this. Things were my car would break down, or I got locked out of my house, or, I have a lizard in my apartment. I can call my dad for that, or, I didn't know my neighbors. I experienced a lot of things that required a lot of growth. And I think that's, the best outcome that could have happened. So, I recommend people to go for it. Anyone who has advice, reach out to me. I'm glad to give advice. I'm always seeking advice from, past coworkers and people like that. Every time I'm about to make a move, hey, this is happening or this and that. And I think the news community, is very transparent between us. Because like I said, it's a rough industry. We have higher ups who are giving us orders. We have contracts and it's just hard. So we kind of reporters kind of rely on each other, to bounce things off each other. Yeah. Yeah.
And now that you're back, has, your former employer reached out or?
No, they have not. I still talk to my former boss out from KYMA. And you know what? I miss reporting here so much. The reason I got into reporting is because I love my community. I love Imperial County, I was in Florida, but I was keeping up with what was happening in the city of Calexico, a lot of stuff, and just everything. The fire departments, the police departments. I'm keeping up with what's happening, especially at the border and stuff like that. And there's so much great news that comes out over here. Like I would have like FOMO. Oh my gosh. I was like in the middle of packing and the whole border stuff was happening in Jacumba and, with the Title 42. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I could just fly out there right now and just, start reporting, I would. But that's why San Diego's kind of the next, step. Unfortunately, here in the Valley, we do have like news outlets. There's just not a lot of money to be made. It's a starter market. It's, I was getting paid very little, less than $30K to do what I was doing reporting out here in the Valley. And it was a lot of work. I was, I hardly clocked out. I was like always looking for something, Even when I clocked out, if something else happened, I would rush to it, So it was a lot of work for very little pay. And unfortunately, the pay hasn't, increased to what cost of living is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the hard part.
Yeah, and I mentioned it because Billy left.
Billy King.
And then what's the other guy's name? He used to do like doing sports.
Sports. Was he in Yuma?
Yeah, I think so. But he would come down here too.
Oh man, I don't know.
I don't remember his name, but yeah, he left too. So I was like, maybe.
Yeah, so we basically have contracts, and when that contract is up, people leave. Oh, Wiley Jahari. Wiley. Yeah. Wiley is in Cleveland now. He got a sports gig. Wiley is killing it. Mm-hmm. He's doing really good.
Yeah, I remember.
Who I never even met in person, right? Never even met him.
Because when you left, he kind of
he got hired after I left. But like I said, like the reporting community is small. We stay in contact with each other. I talk to the reporters who are at KYMA now, and like I've never even met them in person, but.
And I mentioned that you guys because I started talking to you, and then I kind of reached out to Billy, and then Wiley. We kind of talked. I would see him at the gym because when I go to the gym, it's like really late, like 10:30 midnight. Yeah, and sometimes he would be there. And I'll be like, hey, I see you at the gym. What's up? he's like, what the heck?
What gym were you going to?
Planet Fitness.
Oh, that's so funny. He didn't live in Calexico though, right?
No, but I would see him here.
I think he lives in El Centro. Maybe Planet Fitness. You can go to the El Centro Calexico one.
And we started like talking like I would see him because I would do sports with John Moreno and Victor Carrillo. So I would see him at the games and stuff like that. So we kind of talked a little bit. So that's the only group. Like I don't know if there's new, the people that replace you guys.
Yeah, after Wiley left, there was also an Vincent who was here. Ibarra, I believe his name was. He was reporting. They too, both of them left. I've met Karina, who's one of the reporters here now. She's great, and I know there's another reporter. I don't know her name, but yeah.
Yeah, and like sometimes I feel like I'm a reporter because I keep up with the news, and then I try to share some of the stories on my podcast or whatever. So like it's fun to kind of like follow the local reporters because you could kind of like get to. When I started following you, like I liked the behind the scenes.
The behind the scenes, I used to do that a lot. Yeah, especially
you did it in Florida, huh?
In Florida, I didn't do it as much. I definitely showed the beaches I was at. It was like the best part of like being a morning reporter in Florida was waking up with the sunrise. Yeah. The sunrise, beautiful. And then I was I maybe had about once or twice a week, like my stories were at the beach. Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah. So San Diego is hopefully your next.
It is. I am open to like other markets on the west side. Some options are like Las Vegas, Phoenix area as well. So we'll see. Maybe even Northern California. But I don't know.
You want to stay driving
Ideally,
distance?
I want to stay home. In the home area. But I'm open to other options. I just moved back. I've been here for like about a week. So I'm adjusting. I'm saying hi to all the friends, and I've been in I've been in Calexico for a few days, and it's been nice to be here, see the growth here as well. I'm always on the lookout for what's happening here.
And you mentioned coming back, and you mentioned you're keeping up. So what's your, now that you're back after a year, what are your thoughts on what's going on in Calexico and in the Valley? And
You don't want to know my thoughts. I'm kidding. I don't know. I do see growth. You know what I mean? The most growth that I've seen that continues to grow is like Imperial.
Yeah.
Imperial and El Centro, you just see more businesses. Here in Calexico, I see that we're still struggling. Every time I pass by, Imperial and the construction that's happening.
Yeah, 98 or Birch.
What is happening?
I don't know. It's been
when I was here, it was all construction was happening. It's now been what, years?
So I think the initial issue was that whoever started the project at the end bailed, and
there was like a pause. Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're like continuing the work. I've seen like some progress happening, but it is a mess. It is a mess. I mean, yesterday, Friday, the fila to go to Mexicali is just insane.
Last night I was out at 9. I was at Walmart, and then I needed to go to Rite Aid, and for some reason I didn't think it was already that late that I didn't think taking 111 would be crazy. And I was stuck like for 10 minutes, just like 500 feet from the stoplight, like trying to make a right.
And it discourages you really from like going and supporting, I don't know, going out to eat somewhere, It's,
in the east.
But I mean, I definitely have seen growth. There's a lot of new business I've seen. The other day I went down to the, Sophie's Raspados, and now there's a new taco shop in that little plaza as well.
Taco shop is good.
So that's pretty cool. I saw that there's a new gym, Mole Gym, that opened up. I went to FLX yesterday, which is a gym I used to go to when I lived here, and that gym is awesome. They keep improving it.
They brought new equipment not too long ago.
So it's super cool to see that. I haven't been to downtown area yet, which is, my stomping grounds. I'll probably do it. I like to cruise over there and just see what's happening. But I know there's a lot of stores that have closed down.
Downtown is bad. I've been going to downtown a lot because my son plays basketball in Mexicali. So sometimes we'll park the car on the border and we'll walk across. And sometimes you see feces that you don't know if it's human or because I'm like, I don't see any dogs downtown. Like,
yes.
So it's like, what the heck,
Yes. I mean, when I was in Florida, people would complain about the homeless crisis, and I'm like, where? I do not see it. And then coming back home, I think I got here, when was it? Like last Saturday or something. A friend brought me, and we stopped at the gas station in El Centro. And it was like homeless, and it was just not good. I'm just like, wow, what's going on?
Yeah, and I think it's you kind of see it getting a little bit worse here because
I'm seeing a lot of more like what look like permanent little camps. You know what I mean? Whereas before you'd see just people like kind of stationed in a place and they'll move around. But right now I'm seeing just like if you pass by the mall, the big Imperial Valley Mall sign. There's a whole tent there that's been there. Like I passed by already like 3 days in a row, and it's like there's just like these permanent little camps now. And you see it here in Calexico too, behind Walmart.
Oh yeah.
As I was driving in, I think I saw a brush fire out there, like behind Walmart. It was a small one, but there's people out there living.
And a lot of the fires that we've had like in old downtown buildings or even abandoned homes have been. I mean, according to fire department and police, have been because of of homelessness,
transients in the area, squatters, I guess. Which is a lot of what I used to follow here too. The fires. We would have a fire in a building like. It'd be like on a Monday, and then on Thursday we'd be back because they would get back inside the building.
Same building.
Yeah.
I remember you were covering the one that was by the theater.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And that happened twice.
It was that. What is that? It's like an old.
It's like an old house.
It's an old house, a property. It's from a family here in in Calexico. I think the owners of Las Palmas, they own that property.
Okay.
And they had plans for that. Like what was left of it, they were going to like reconstruct it and do something. But after those fires, it was like maybe 2 fires in a row. They're like, I mean, nothing's left.
Yeah, within like a week or a couple of weeks, it was 2 fires. I'm like, nah, that's crazy. And you know, fires in Calexico have been a thing all starting from, I think, like from COVID. Like that's when it, you know, kind of like was a, or even before, because when we talked, you were already covering them. So, but since 2019, I want to say till now, like it's kind of slowed down now. But you know, for like 3-4 years, it's been like, even like, I don't know if you saw that this there's a recycling center here or something that caught on fire like not too long ago. It was like huge fire. It was bad. Like some of the homes, because you know there's homes right here. Some of the homes like almost caught on fire. Come here.
Yeah, that's crazy, because I mean it's a lot of resources that go into putting out a fire. You know, a lot of money. Yeah. And it's all the fire departments. It's from here to Brawley. You know, Brawley deals with it a lot too. They have a lot of like these vacant areas where homeless have like sheltered in, and
And specifically, you know, Calexico, what are your thoughts on, you know, our city?
Our city, I don't know. I think it's, I will say there is progress, you know.
And where?
Especially when you think about the schools, you know, the high school, I think it's very important that they're fixing it up. You know, I mean, when I was there, it was very old, and, you know, you're in trailers, and, you know, these new high-tech classrooms are going to bring, you know, more classes for these students and, you know, better opportunities. I've seen a lot of progress, like with sports. I mean, the Valley, you know, just in general, there's like so many opportunity for these kids in sports, and, you know, to continue that into college, and it'll take them, you know, somewhere. So that's great to see. But I mean, you know, the Valley, you know, it's small here. It's small progress, but.
And it's, you know, the reason I ask is because, you know, I've been, you know, I never left. You had a chance to leave and kind of see other things, and how maybe local governments work, or how the community is involved, stuff like that. That's the reason I kind of like, I'm trying to pick your brain to see what, you know, what you see in terms of, you know, progress, or, you know, being stagnant in the same political issues, or, you know, things that we can't get over. So I don't know, you know, I think that I've been here so long that.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see more involvement when it comes with that, you know. I just think people, I don't know, they maybe get accustomed to what it is, and I don't know, they don't want to help and be part of the change. I know it's hard, but I don't know, like in Florida, we had a lot, like I would be surprised. I'd go to these like city meetings and county meetings, and some of the people in power are not even Floridians. You know, they were just people who moved there, passionate about the town, and, you know, they decided to run for local office, and it's very interesting. Whereas here, it's like, you know, people who are born and raised here, which is great too, right? But it's very interesting to see, you know, different dynamics and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I feel that, you know, especially, you know, knowing people that have been in politics, that have been here, you know, most of all of their lives, and you know, you can tell they love the city. But sometimes that love and that connection to the city might not be, you know, the best thing.
Yeah.
Because you might see, I don't know, you might see like somebody new as an enemy, or as a.
Yeah. I know right now, I believe the Calexico Fire Department's looking for a new police chief, right? I think there's candidates who are already in, you know, with the police department that are probably, you know, candidates for chief, but I think they're also interviewing outside people. What is the best decision? Someone inside or outside? I don't know. We've seen the history here, right? And it's,
And I think that
I don't want to say too much, but, you know, we've seen the history of the city, so it's just like,
And I think sometimes we because you see it in both ways. Like, you know, hiring somebody local might not be the best thing, but then you hire somebody outside, and
Yeah.
especially in education. I worked in education for 20 years, and a lot of the times, you know, us employees be like, oh, don't hire somebody that's already here because, you know, they know so and so and they're gonna be, you know, favor them, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Let's hire somebody from outside, and then we do, and then they come here and, you know, make a mess and they leave, and we end up, you know. But at the same time, I think it either way is it's a coin flip, you know, like
Yeah.
and
It is. And I mean, us who are from here, we're just like so invested, we're passionate, and it's just, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for sure. But I mean, I see some progress for sure. You know, there's a lot of new businesses. I think a lot of it is just us really supporting the local businesses. Like, even the other day, like, we went out to eat. Me and my family, we went to Imperial. We went that way, you know, and it's like, hold up.
Yeah.
We need, this is why, you know, maybe some businesses don't last here. We go somewhere else instead of supporting our own city. And, you know, obviously we have Mexicali, which is huge. We have a lot of people who...
And you know what? And a lot of the times that people go to Mexicali is because, oh, you know, it's cheaper. But
It's not.
It's
And then la fila. Oh, I know.
Yeah,
That in itself is a discouragement.
especially now that the dollar is not as strong as it was before.
Yeah.
You feel it, like you go out to eat and it's like, oh damn, like, you know, it's not.
It is not cheap out there. Even like you go shopping out there, it's like, whoa.
I mean, obviously there are places that are cheaper, but
Yeah.
you know, if you want to go to a fancy place in Mexicali, you know, you're gonna feel it. It's
Yes.
yeah, it's not.
It's not chump change. No. And speaking of Mexicali, so much happening over there. My parents right now are like, no, don't even go to Mexicali, you know, the typical parents. And I'm just like, yeah, there's a lot going on over there.
I think that because we go probably on a weekly basis just for like dentists and stuff like that. And I feel that if you do those kinds of things where like early, you're not out at places where
Go in the daylight. You
No.
already know where you're going, and you know, you just gotta be careful.
Yeah. I mean, and I think Mexico in itself, it's kind of. I saw somewhere that you know, the death rate or the amount of people that have been killed by cartels or whatever is way higher, you know, ever since this current president took over.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of way more killings. But he says, what's his saying? Abrazos, no balazos. Have you heard it? Have you heard him say it?
I have heard him. I've heard some stuff that he says that's pretty funny. Silly president. I don't know. I know what has increased and is a constant increase is the feminicidios, crimes against women. You know, and Mexicali, Baja California. Baja California has some of the highest like death rates for women. So that's scary. And we've seen the protests. You know.
Yeah, we see
Yeah.
them because they close down the border sometimes.
And oh my god, to hear like every time I follow like the Mexican out like La Crónica and like all those outlets in Baja, and it's just so sad every time like there's a new report or something. It's yeah,
for sure. Anything else that you would like to share now that, you know, you've been here a second time and you've experienced living across the country, coming back? Anything that I didn't ask you that you might want to share?
I don't know. I mean, it's great to be back. There's nothing like being home, you know, and I mean, born and raised in the Valley, so it's, you know, great to see, you know, still restaurants that are still open and just coming home and, you know, being with your parents, and it's been nice coming back. It was a great experience moving away as well. You know, it's a lot of learning curves for sure. I think, you know, for some of us who grew up in the Valley, we can be a little sheltered and afraid of moving across country. Like when I did it, I had friends reach out to me like, hey, how did you do this? Like just asking for advice, right? So, you know, yeah, I would just tell people not to be afraid to like branch out and explore, you know? But yeah, it's great to be back. I'm excited for what's to come. Hopefully I could stay close by to home, but that's pretty much the goal. Yeah,
for sure. And hopefully this is not the last time that we have you on. Maybe next time it's a new big city that you've traveled to,
maybe.
And get to come and share more stories and talk a little bit about your experiences. And it's funny, it's cool that it was more of self growth for you. Like,
yes, of course. That's what I tell people. It's about the personal growth for sure. You can't take it back.
Yeah.
It's
we gotta always be learning and growing to become better, especially at a craft. Like reporting and those kinds of things. Or just life in general. Like I'll never stop learning.
And hopefully, having a podcast has always been a dream of mine, which I've talked to you about it before. I'm excited to do that. I've always wanted to start a podcast with one of my best friends, and I'm like, now that I'm back, we need to actually do it.
Yeah.
We'll see how that.
Definitely. If you don't want to invest right now, I have some equipment that I haven't been using that I can.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So definitely let me know, and I'll be there to help you out.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for a lot of advice from you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm here. I enjoy teaching others.
How many years have you had the podcast now?
I don't know.
It's been a while.
It's been like 5, I want to say.
Wow.
Let me check. Let me check when my first episode was uploaded. 2017. December 8, 2017. So it's gonna be 6 years. It's been a while.
That's pretty incredible.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that long. But yeah, I'm definitely here to help if you need my help. And like I said, I'll let you borrow some equipment if you want to.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure. All right, Alexandra, thank you for having a beer with me. You're enjoying the seltzer, but and just talking and hanging out. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening or watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.